AmCham China is a nonprofit, non-government organization. So we represent hundreds and hundreds of U.S. companies in China. AmCham China has built up over many decades. And so what we have right now is these hundreds of companies which have very deep business ties in China. And China is a very important market for these companies. One of the things we're very proud of is that U.S. companies play a big role in China. And that the U.S.-China two-way trade is the largest trade relationship with the United States. For many years, China has been a very good market for U.S. companies to sell products into and also to produce. Recent challenges have been travel restrictions related to COVID, supply chain challenges related to transportation, and also recently U.S.-China sentiment, political sentiment, has been challenging. So all of those things make the market a little more challenging, a little more interesting. First of all, we actually would like to see a lot more air transportation back and forth. There are still some routes that are open between the U.S. and China, but in our view, not nearly enough, and not nearly as many as there were a couple years ago. So it is absolutely critical that we get more flights going and more people coming back and forth. We have to be able to get people to travel back and forth. So one of the big things that AmCham China has been advocating for is more frequent flights and shorter quarantines. So right now, a big challenge has been not enough air transportation. One of the things that was interesting with COVID-0 and with shutdowns in different places around the world, it allowed all of us to see exactly how the supply chains worked, and also to see how important China was for global supply chains. So our companies have said very clearly, they're not anti-China. They want China to be a very important part, continue to be a very important part of their supply chains. And what that means is they need to make sure that the supply chain is more robust. The COVID shutdown has allowed us to see how supply chains work. One of the things that companies have done is they've reinforced more warehousing and then multiple points of sort of reinforcing supply chains. So in the short term, there probably are some adjustments to be made because of currency fluctuations and interest rate changes. But generally, multinational companies, they expect these sorts of changes, and so it's not a primary decision factor in terms of how they run their businesses. In most cases, the most important thing is, do we have a good market? Do we have the right production cycle? And how do logistics work? So they're not really too worried about interest rate hikes or currency moves in the short term. One of the good things that we heard from NDRC was that after the 20th Party Congress, it was clear that China says it's still interested in FDI, it's still interested in foreign business. And what our friends at NDRC said was they believe there's a clear role for American companies and foreign companies to play in the Chinese economy. And we're very pleased to hear that. Very proudly, we think that American companies have done a lot to help China. And it's worked both ways, right? They've also succeeded here. So we're very pleased to see that it looks like there's still plenty of room for American companies to do well and to participate in China's economy. Many of them did have very specific questions about, whether it be green energy or all kinds of electric vehicles or other new energy. So our AmCham China companies were very interested in specific industries where they could participate. And as I say, it sounded good. NDRC was trying to do a good job of explaining to us where those opportunities would be for U.S. companies. And we're pleased to see that we're still welcome here and looking for more opportunities. As I said, U.S. companies have built up their presence in China over many decades. One of the things they've said to us is they want us to advocate for a larger market and a more open market. So there are certain areas where we see opportunities. There are certain areas where AmCham China companies would like the market to be open more, or we would like to see implementation of those more. We did survey our member companies. So AmCham China companies have signaled that if there is a balanced and open framework, they would certainly continue to look at China positively and look for opportunities to invest more. Many years ago, there were restrictions in the financial services sector. And as China continued to liberalize and open up the financial services market, we could see more foreign financial companies playing. The same thing with the automobile industry. Originally, all companies had to have joint ventures. Now they can buy out their partners or they can increase their stake. And so we've seen more investment from companies there. So there's a whole range of industries that are restricted. I think there's still restrictions, for example, in healthcare. So any time that the Chinese government allows for more foreign ownership, those companies will look to invest more and to increase their stake. So, across a range of industries, there are different rules. But any time a market can be opened up more, it will attract more investment.